Hello everyone! I just finished my first semester of 1L and I thought this would be a perfect time for me to talk about my journey to law school as a first-gen student. Both my parents only graduated high school and I was the first to graduate college and now go to graduate school. And for lack of better words, it's been a whirlwind. It's been a journey. I hope you guys are able to take something from this video and learn from it, whether you're applying to law school or thinking about applying to law school, but I hope this video helps, so let's get into it. Okay, so first I thought I would explain my law school journey in a nutshell, a very bare bones walkthrough. So my law school journey starts in high school. In high school, I was a very bad student. Like, I would skip so many days of school. It was like march truant, like I just hated high school. But I had one class I really enjoyed, which was English. I don't know, there's something about my teacher who just made the class more enjoyable, and so I actually did really want to do well in that class. And then that teacher from my English class actually reached out to me and presented me with this opportunity, this high school program put on by the DA's office, and it pretty much was a high school program dedicated to making the legal field more accessible for underrepresented high school students. Being first gen, I never thought I would go into the legal field. I was like, there's no way. I didn't even think about going to grad school. So he told me I should apply to it, and so I really trusted everything he said because he was one of my favorite teachers, actually my favorite teacher at that school. And so I applied and I ended up getting into the program. I loved it so much. Basically what it was they had a bunch of different criminal justice figures kind of speak to us and talk to us about what they do. So we talked to like the police department, the coroner's office, and of course like attorneys. We didn't only speak to DAs, we also spoke to defense attorneys, public defenders, big law attorneys, and I truly just loved listening to them and hearing about what they do, how they try their cases, their strategy for it, how they really put on someone's story. Nothing had ever really piqued my interest intellectually like that, and so I thought this was something I maybe want to pursue. At that point in high school, it was way too late for me to save my grades. Like, they were, for lack of better words, they were shit. And so I went to community college and I pretty much dedicated myself to doing very well because I was like, this is my goal to go to law school. I know I have to have good grades if I want to go to law school. So I really turned myself around and I left community college with a 4.0. Throughout community college, I would literally just show up to the courthouse in my county and I would just watch trials. I also got an internship with the DA's office, which I will explain later when I talk about like my whole resume and stuff. I completely dedicated myself towards the legal field at that point. So I transferred out of community college to my dream university, which was UC Irvine. Growing up in Orange County, I always knew I wanted to go to UC Irvine. I had like dance team practice there. I just loved the campus and it was close to family and close to home. Absolutely loved my time there. I really wish I did well in high school so I could have had more time there. That's just how everything played out. I was there for 2 years and then I graduated and then I took two gap years. Not in the plans, but something I will explain further later too. And now I am in law school. I just finished my first semester of 1L at the University of Notre Dame. I love it so far, so let's get into the next part, which is the LSAT. I hated the LSAT process, but if I can survive, you can survive, promise. Because I am a horrible test taker. Like, I loathe test taking. So I just need to be upfront with you guys and tell you guys, I took that John 4 times. I did it 4 times. So the first time I took the LSAT, I was in my senior year of undergrad at UC Irvine. I was also working during this time. I was working a part-time job, going to school, trying to maintain really high grades for law school, and trying to take the LSAT. Some people can do that and just flourish and do so well. I was not one of those people. Also during this time, the icing on the cake was that my dog, which is like my best friend, like we were like this, he actually got diagnosed with meningitis, and so being his caretaker was pretty much like a full-time job. It was very devastating. And something I will not get into because I'm gonna start crying if I start thinking about it again. And needless to say, I did not do well on my first LSAT take. So my first LSAT take, I got a low 150 score, which is above average, but it's not anywhere near where I wanted it to be for my goals of going to law school. I was like, okay, that's okay. I know how the test works now. And so I am going to study really hard, and I pretty much cut off like alcohol, going out, hanging out with my friends. I cut everything off and I was like, I'm gonna retake it in January, which was only like 3 months later. Some people can just do really well barely studying for something and just taking the test. I'm not one of those people. I quickly realized I severely underestimated that test. I was kind of just like, it's logic, like it can't be that hard, right? Wrong, very wrong. So I retook it in January. So I got my test scores back for January, broke the 160s, and so I was like, cool, that's exactly where I wanted to be, because the 150 hit just hit me so fucking hard. And so I had thought, okay, that's good enough. I'm just gonna stop there and I'm going to apply. I sent off my scores in January, and as you guys may know, if you guys are applying to law school or maybe thinking about applying to law school, applying in January is not necessarily late, but it's not early. Law school admissions is on a rolling cycle, so basically the application can open in September and people can send their apps in September and they could start filling those seats by November, and by January they're maybe just filling a couple more so they don't have many more seats to give and scholarship money to give. Basically what I'm trying to get at is apply early. Yeah, I applied in January and I got into a couple schools. I actually got waitlisted at a couple schools that I thought that were targets for me. By April of that year, that's when the first seat deposit is due for law schools. Basically didn't get into any schools that I was very comfortable with attending, and I actually sent a seat deposit into one school I actually really liked, but they have a very strict conditional scholarship. They gave me a full ride plus a stipend, right, which is amazing. But there was so much about this school on the web, Reddit, and YouTube. People made YouTube videos about this school, how predatory the conditional scholarship was. Imagine like being so stressed about taking your finals, but then also being stressed that if you don't meet a certain GPA, you're going to be taking out a fat load of money in loans for a school that maybe you didn't even care about, you just went because they gave you such a big scholarship. But I nevertheless sent my seat deposit in because I was like, I want to go to law school. The second seat deposit deadline rolls around and I'm kind of sitting with that decision of, do I go to law school or do I just take the LSAT again? I really did not want to take the LSAT again. Like, I really didn't. Cried so much thinking about having to pick up the books again, take this test again that humbled me so many times. Finally, after sitting with the thought for so long and telling everyone like, oh, I'm going to law school, blah, 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 buying merch for law school I thought I was going to go to, I kind of sat with myself and I went over my why of going to law school. Why was I here? Why was I going to law school? I realized that I would have a regret not trying again when I felt like I could do better on the LSAT. I felt like I still had some juice in me. I just didn't want to live with that regret. I scrapped my applications. That summer I dedicated to studying for the LSAT again, but without restrictions. Like the second time I took the LSAT, I kind of cut off all alcohol, all hangouts, all friends, whatever. This time I kind of did everything in moderation, which I feel like was so much better for me. I put so much pressure on myself that really negatively impacted my test taking. And this time around I was kind of like, well, I have a really great score already. I think I could do better. Let's just try our best every day to improve just a little bit. So that's what I did over the summer. I actually also invested in a tutor. I confronted a lot of my weaknesses. I think that's a weakness in itself that I have, where like I hate confronting my own weaknesses or test taking, and I'll kind of just brush it off. Like maybe I'll get a question wrong and then I'll look at the explanation and be like, okay, yeah, I got it. No, don't do that. She really helped me to look at these weaknesses, hone in on them, and figure out what went wrong. And I had signed up for the August LSAT, which was the first time LSAC was changing their testing company, ProctorU to Prometric, or it could be vice versa, I don't really remember. Basically, I was a little test mouse for this first administration. Needless to say, it went horrible. I was sitting there on my laptop at home waiting for the proctor to show up for 4 hours, just sitting there like pretty much almost in tears. And then like also during the beginning, someone started mowing the lawn and it was like right when the proctor showed up, so I couldn't go outside and tell him to stop. Finally he shows up and I take the test. It was just horrible. All things that could have went wrong. My test back and it's literally 1 freaking point above my high score. Was a sting because I had studied that whole summer and I was like PTing way above my highest score already. And then that happened. I sat down with my tutor and I was like, I already had a whole application season and I just want to get them in. Like I'm over it. Like, you know, I've took it 3 times already. And she was like, would you regret it though, knowing that you have been performing way better than what you just scored, given the circumstances too? You got me there. You were right. I took it a 4th time in October, saddled up again, and I was like so over this test by then that I was just like, whatever, what will be will be. I don't really care. After this, I'm sending those apps in. October, actually too, I took it in person because I was so scarred from the proctor situation with the online test. Got my test score back, 15-point increase from my very first test score. I was so happy. I was so grateful to be done with this test. Could I have done better than that? Like probably, but I was so proud of myself given the circumstances. Also, like when I first started this test, I never even saw myself breaking past 165 at all. I was like totally okay with getting like 165, which by the way is a very phenomenal score. I did better than that and I was so excited, and so after that I kind of sent my applications in, basically to the schools that I had thought about applying to before from the first cycle, just with better test scores, and now I was getting my application in earlier. But with a higher score, I was kind of like, well, you know, let me look at other options, maybe just blanket like the T20, right? Application cycle again later, I'm now at Notre Dame Law School. So that was pretty much my LSAT journey in a nutshell. I could make another video talking about resources, my tips, what I learned from this whole process, etc. in greater detail. It's not perfect. It's very trial and error, which I wish wasn't the case, but it was, and now I'm here. So next I want to talk about my resume that I used to apply to law school. I had been working from a very young age at my parents' business, family ran business, all hands on deck type of thing. I remember in high school I played basketball and my parents had asked me to skip basketball just to help them work. Taxing from a young age. I don't realize that because I was like in my teenage angst age. Like looking back, I'm very grateful that they taught me all these things about hard work ethic. I was happy I was able to contribute to basically our livelihood. Pretty sad being young though, and giving up so many things in high school. But like I said, I hated high school anyway, so whatever. After that high school program at the DA's office, I actually went back and interned at the DA's office very many consecutive summers. I jumped around from a bunch of different units. I started in insurance fraud, with not my first choice. I didn't even know that unit existed. It's where they placed me, and I was just very grateful to have any kind of opportunity working in the legal field, so of course I took it up, and I think that was actually my favorite unit. But I also worked in like homicide, sexual assault, conviction integrity, science and technology. Community college was very affordable, but also I needed a way to pay for like my books and my supplies and all that. Got a job at a civil litigation boutique firm, and we dealt with a lot of real estate cases and employment cases. Then after that, I went to go work at a criminal defense firm, and I dealt mostly with expungements. I was a case manager, so I was kind of like a liaison between the courts and the firm and our clients. And I learned a lot about filing stuff with the courts in Chicago, weirdly. I was based in California, but I worked for like the Chicago office. I also worked at the public defender's office because I kind of wanted to get a view from both sides. I think for the LSAT, I kind of wanted something a little bit more chill and relaxed. I worked at Sanrio, best job in the world. Also helped me pay for my apps, you know, can be very expensive. And then at UCI, I was also very, very involved. I was in a sorority, so I had a position as a part of the Helping Hearts Club, which helped the homeless community in Orange County. We did a lot of fundraisers and drives and stuff. I remember for pre-law society, I think many colleges and universities have a pre-law society on their campus. I recommend joining. They give you a lot of opportunities to meet with attorneys, and they give you a lot of LSAT prep coupons for like companies because they'll come and speak at your club. I was a learning assistant for one of my favorite professors, pretty much as like a TA, but like without the paid aspect of it. I was a research assistant for one of my professors, and she was researching anti-Black historical racism in the United States, and so I helped her with that. I was a teaching assistant for UCI Law's program, which is Saturday Academy of Law, and basically it's a program that is designed to expose underrepresented high school students to the legal field. It brought me back to the whole reason why I got into legal field, so it was a very meaningful opportunity for me, and I really enjoyed that. I also was a violence intervention and prevention chair. Basically, I was trained to report to cases of sexual assault within Greek life. I also taught our chapter about sexual assault resources and stuff of that sort. I was a volunteer with the Orange County Human Trafficking Task Force. Basically, I would be trained on human trafficking and the signs, and then we would go to different like hospitals or like events and speak to them about the signs of human trafficking. And I think that's pretty much my resume. What kept me motivated to be so involved was being involved in things that I genuinely cared about, like pre-law society. I knew I wanted to go to law school, and also the people in the pre-law society club were seriously some of the best people I ever met. Like the violence intervention and prevention chair position took on because of my work experience at the DA's office being in the sexual assault unit, and I really knew I wanted to do victim impact work after that. So yeah, that's my resume. And a question I got a lot was, what if I don't have any legal experience? I'm not an admissions person or anything, but a lot of people that are at my law school right now are K through JD, so they didn't even have time to really work. I personally don't think that it's necessary to work in a legal related field. Actually, some people at my school are even from like a math background, economics background, so not even legal related. It's not necessary. A lot of skills that are maybe from like a part-time job, like even retail, are very transferable to the legal field. Customer service, talking to clients, organizing your guys' shipment, organizing discovery, etc. It's very transferable. Don't count yourself out if you've never worked a legal field related position in your life. That was pretty much my law school application journey timeline, and now I'm here, and I'm very grateful to be here. A lot of people complain about law school being this, that, too hard, like I don't want to be here anymore. Like, while I felt very frustrated in law school, I've never felt that I don't want to be here. Every day I wake up and I'm so grateful that I'm literally going to legal writing, legal research, whatever it is, because this is always what I wanted to do. And I'm very grateful for my parents and everything they sacrificed, all the people that have supported me to be where I am today. My journey to law school was not ideal, like I said before, but that's just the way it happened. Yeah, and I love the school that I picked. I feel like only you know what's important to you, what matters to you in law school, what your goals are. When you have that inclination, maybe like I had when I just chose to reapply, you should really listen to yourself. Lay out the pros and cons. If you really want something, I think you should go for it. A lot of people have DM'd me asking me about like, how did you know retaking the LSAT was for you? I don't want to waste another gap year. I'll say the gap year went by so freaking fast. It was pretty much like only a summer because I was like studying for the LSAT, took it, and then I had that kind of couple of months where I was just relaxing before law school, which I don't regret at all. I think it was very nice for me to refresh before going into such a rigorous course load. But like I said, that just worked out for me. It might work out for you, it might not. Hope you guys found something helpful from this video. I will see you guys next time and talk more about being a first gen in law school.